Hey guys, Jason here. So we got another day, day 15 of Autoforge's development. I'm doing something different. I'm actually recording this right after I finish up my day of work. Going to try to make that a thing. We'll see if it happens. Maybe, maybe not. um, so yeah, what we worked on today is trying to figure out how we want to handle the bounds on the transform component, or where that should live, what we're doing with it. Um, Ultimately, what I decided that we wanted to do is have the transform component only have a position and move the bounds, the like render bounds that we're kind of tracking, so we know like it's space that it's taking up and like looking to see if the player clicks on the entity or whatever. That is now in the render component. And I played around with some things. For a while, I was putting it also on the spine component, which represents our, spine animation system. But I ultimately decided to move all the render component stuff or render data from the spine component back onto the render component, because it was kind of like duplicated, and it was duplicated because I was saying that you would either have a spine component or a render component, like exclusive or, same with the spine component, exclusive or animation component. So now I'm saying that you can have a render component and a spine component. So now all that data is living here, which is great. And that made it so that we can actually, kind of have some nicer code whenever we're dealing with the transform component. There's a lot of places where we're just saying like, hey, I want to get the position for the transform, and I had to do like transform.bounds.get position, but now we can just say transform.position. That's great. And while we're at it, I decided to pull in the spatial hash, which is this complex thing. Maybe one day I'll actually talk about it, have a video about it. But basically, it's for tracking which entities are nearby, and we can kind of like very quickly and efficiently query an area to see what entities are in an area. Instead of looking at all of the entities in the world, we can just say, okay, here's, this area. Let's, figure out like the, 10 or 20 that are in there. And so I'm using that for the entity layer. So now our entity layers have a spatial hash, and we can use those for various things. Eventually our entity layers will be used for lots of stuff, like, maybe we'll have an entity layer for monsters or for players or for items. And those will now all be nicely separated into their own spatial hashes. We're already using that for drawing the entities. So if we go down here and look at this, we'll see that in the update function, we update the spatial hash. So at the start of every frame, we're just clearing it out and saying, okay, let's repopulate the spatial hash with all of the current data that we have on this render components and spine, render entities and spine entities. And maybe one day we'll be able to simplify this. Maybe. Yeah, and so then whenever we are drawing, we can say, hey, let's get our spatial hash and query culling out anything that's not within this viewport, our render viewport. And so it'll only give us the entities that are actually on screen. So one thing I don't know why I just completely overlooked is that we can technically remove this if statement and probably clean out some of this code. This is why talking about this stuff is actually helpful. We could, pull that out and probably simplify this quite a bit here. I won't do it on this video, but we can refactor that some. So yeah, we're only going to be looking at the things that are in the viewport. So yeah, there's no need to check to see if it's on here. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. It was just a day of like cleaning some stuff up. So yeah, it was a productive day overall. And tomorrow we'll be back working on some physics stuff. So I will see you guys then. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.